Today's episode of the Saturday Sunday Hit Anime Show comes courtesy of Crunchyroll Funimation. Watch The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya along with us in sub or dub. A subscription to Crunchyroll is required for legal streaming. Also, check out Rosen Mystica's amazing cover of Haruhi's first opening, Boken Desho Desho. Or check out Platina Jazz's amazing jazz cover of the same song. Links to everything in the description below. Now, on to the show! Hello everyone and welcome back to the Saturday Sunday Hit Anime Show. I am your anime host, Older Bro.
I'm your other anime host, Younger Bro.
And today, we watched the final episode of The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. It has been an emotional ride.
It's been a long ride.
It has been. I mean, this is a 2-arc series. Well, it's a weird 2-arc series, but it is still 2 arcs, so... Or 2 cores, sorry. It's a 2-core series, so we get to see a very fun and interesting story. No. Christmas time. The SOS Brigade. So now the question is, what is today's episode? What is it about?
Well, from the title, it seems like there's going to be chasing somebody in a rain scene.
I mean, I guess it could be those two finally becoming a couple, but I get this feeling that's not going to happen. If only we could be that lucky. The world where truth becomes fiction. No. It's where fiction becomes truth. It's very interesting looking at Haruhi's character, especially after the episode where they were talking about different opinions and being like, what's each person's like idea of if she's a god or not.
Yeah.
Like, Kyoto Animation. This is a different game.
They play Magic?
I don't think so.
Oh, it's waifu cards.
Yeah, it kind of is. Wow. Crochet. Where is Haruhi?
This is boring. This goes on for several hours.
This is the entire episode. Also, it wouldn't be weird anymore if stuff was happening every day. You have to have normal days every once in a while. On occasion. There's the laptops. They remembered them. Six months.
Actually, it's been a couple 100 years, but...
Always. That'll do.
Oh.
To be fair, she just convinced half the population to shop at his store.
Yeah.
Yes, you now. I I mean,
Fine, but you're coming with me.
yep.
Oh no.
Yeah, of course it does, because that means you don't have to do work.
Uh-oh, she's coming. Or not.
She's just giving no shits about Haruhi right
Aw.
now.
Stop, you're making me jealous. We're gonna see, older Miss Asahina.
Oh, that'd be real interesting.
Knew it. Ah!
You are
They give
all
no
terrible
shits.
people. Of course she is. It's Haruhi.
In a maid outfit? I thought she was a bunny girl or something.
More seductive. Well, now we really know how future Miss Asahina works.
He just like signals for a ride. He's like, I'm gone.
Not like he's interested in girls.
Oh my god. She's like, I'm just gonna go over here.
Have you gotten bigger again?
She just got embarrassed so much that she turned into somebody else.
She just doesn't need that recorded for every generation to see. Okay, just to be clear, Haruhi, are you sure you want her to be more confident? Because she might just be confident enough to ask Kyon out. Are you sure you don't want to rethink this?
This one seems good.
I'm surprised she isn't saying I'm going to the computer club.
I know.
This wasn't even in the movie. Neither was that.
He's just
Have
going
you
with
ever
whatever.
thought about... I really want her to just...
thought about me?
I know, I want her to just turn to him and say, have you ever thought about having an independent thought, Koizumi? Maybe tell her no once in a while, fucking asshole.
But she's too nice of a person.
She's too nice to say that, but it's like, come on, girl. Well, look, she needs to be more assertive. She needs to be more... She needs to be more able to just take it. Be more confident. There aren't even that many on the rack! Again, just go to the computer club already. Isn't that the same one you just took off?
Oh my god. I have no idea.
Yep, that'd do it. Uh-oh.
Where the hell are they?
What?
What the fuck?
I don't know. They've been eaten by the computer. Maybe they just went home.
That's possible, and Nagato's just still there. Because he took so long.
Yep. I'm pretty sure that whatever we're hearing in the background is them learning, like, Japanese, like, spelling and grammar rules.
She's listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Turn on the radio.
Turn up the radio. Right. They're sticking on the scene quite a long time.
Why?
Like,
It's
look.
This scene and another scene.
Look,
like...
I'm all supportive of the asexual community, but we don't need to see all these aces. Like, especially when we're not seeing anything.
Like, guys, I love when Nagato's on scene, but this
is a little bit much.
It's a little bit much.
There's still another
The
10
rest of the
minutes.
episode
It could be
is
10
just
minutes
this.
of this.
It's-
Wait, Ace Detective?
Like, what kind of finale is this?
One that makes you ask a lot of questions. What do you mean I'm the Queen of France?
The fuck's that mean?
It's hitting a strange spot, alright. Now there's an opera.
Copyright. He's gonna fall asleep.
Possible.
No, we're back! We're back to this! He said, what?
That's a different version of this show.
What the hell are we watching?
They ran out of scenes to show, so they're just like,
Did they just not have an idea for the
Yes.
last episode?
Yep, they had
And so they were just like, you know what? Let's have the people just wait.
Let's
Wait for it. What the fuck?
You know, you're sitting here, and it's making you wonder why you sat through all this. Making you wonder if maybe it was all a waste of time.
Yes.
How many more of these are there?
A waste of time. How more of them are there? There's this one, and maybe the movie.
It didn't take that long. Thank you, Tails. That is very clearly a different box than the box he carried onto the train.
Yeah, it looks taller.
It's like that was a square box. This is now a rectangular box. Please tell me that it's not that he didn't pick up the wrong box somehow.
That's it. They're still there.
Warm up my body and heart. For now.
Mm-hmm.
This is the most inactive slice of life show. It is very much just a slice of life.
They're
doing it! They're taking the photos!
Oh, bother.
This feels like a different school.
Aaron?
That's why they're taking all these photos. Oh god, now Haruhi's gonna have even more problems. That is the correct... Oh, okay, I guess it just looked square from the other side.
Is this the episode I think it is? Damn it.
I can't answer that.
Oh no. They're gonna have a fight again. Knew it.
Yep. You instructed her to do this.
Oh damn.
She is super talented. Remember, every club wanted her. She actually didn't answer!
She didn't know!
No, I think she knows. She just didn't tell him. And it's broken. Oh, no, there it is.
You want a hug?
This is the scene where he finally has a romantic scene with Nagato.
Maybe.
I mean, outside of the one where he was almost like groping her on the floor.
More waiting. Oh god, I love Suzumiya.
No, it's not gonna be that.
Oh no. Did kind girl knock him out?
No, he's probably just getting sick. from being out in the rain.
Oh, maybe. Rain and cold, not a good situation.
The funny thing is that she'll just stay here all night, so we don't know what time it is. She can just live here.
Did she take him home?
Not yet. Hold on. She did give him a blanket, though. Oh, no.
What'd you do?
She gave him a blanket.
Oh, they're gonna walk home together. Yes, you are. So you shut in?
How'd I get this, then?
Huh?
Where'd I get this one? They
knew it!
They both did it?
No, it was Nagato. Nagato did
Definitely Nagato. My God.
She planned this!
I don't think she planned the rain this time.
She's having fun with you, mate.
Yeah. I'm not childish at all.
Uh-huh.
Is
Is that how it ends?
That is how it ends.
Is there any end credits?
No.
That's how it ends.
That's how it ends. There ain't nothing else. It's like... Oh.
I see why they had a movie.
Yeah, well, to be fair, this probably wasn't even the last episode.
Oh my God.
Okay, everyone, and now's the time where, as normal, we do our review of the anime after watching the anime. Now, today's review is going to be quite a bit different than our normal reviews. So I kind of wanted to go over, before talking about Haruhi, how we do reviews in general. Not this is for anyone who's seen the anime or not. Normally, in one of our reviews, I will defer to Younger Bro. Younger Bro will give his opinions. He will give a review. And then I will give my opinions and give a review. And this was set up in a way because at the time we started this show, Younger Bro was much newer to anime. He had many fewer shows under his belt than I did. In a sense, it was set up in a way of like, his opinion was from a fresh new take on anime, and mine was a more experienced. This is no longer the case. Younger Bro has probably watched just as many anime as I have at this point. So there really is no reason that we do things in that order other than we've done it that way for every single video up to this point.
I mean, yes, I've seen quite a few anime, but not as much as you. Like, yes, I have a lot of time on my hands, guys, but I actually don't actively watch anime right now. I want to. I'm going to, like, literally, probably early next year, I'm going to start watching a little bit of anime on my own, but it's actually not that much.
Yeah, to be fair, I haven't watched much anime on my own since we started doing Saturday Sunday Hit Anime Show. There's only been a couple shows that I've seen outside of this program.
Yeah, I figured as much. That way you could have a fresh take on whatever we review.
Yeah. So, But I will still say, we are more or less at parity in terms of experience with anime and our opinions on anime and how we view anime. So, that's why we normally do it that way. However, for this show in particular, I have put myself into an unfortunate spot of breaking tradition, because with this show, I felt the need to set the stage for how we're reviewing this anime, because it is going to be very difficult to review, as you might see going forward. So, first things first, let's talk about the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya as one big thing. I think the show is actually very good. The characters in the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, very good characters. Haruhi is very fun. Kyon is very much the straight character that is meant to counteract all of Haruhi's insanity. Mikuru is a very great, nervous character who is not really comfortable with being in the situation she's in, but goes along with it because Haruhi wants it. Koizumi is a great... I 100% believe that he is an Esper, and he has these big, this great, important job that he's doing, but most of it's not seen.
Hear about it.
Yeah, most of it's not seen. So he comes off as this very mysterious character whose only job is to make sure that Haruhi does not have any breakdowns, basically. He is also very obviously gay, but that will be ignored for our review, because the show didn't really specifically say that. It's just very clear.
It came off that way.
Yeah, it just came off that way after watching Endless 8 times, and he very clearly saying, I don't have what it takes to... I'm lacking in a certain regard in order to date Miss Suzumiya, and it's okay, so you're gay. And then, Yuki Nagato, very great. She's also a straight-faced character in terms of,
But in terms of straight-faced characters that I've seen, she is one of the best.
She is, yeah, because she's a computer interface. And so she's just yes, I am very monotone. I speak this way because I don't really have emotion or understand the concept of emotion. It's just
and you
the most emotional episode we saw was last episode, where she was pleading to be able to fix the computer game so that it's fair.
She was please let me.
It's
let her.
The most emotional reaction. So, I do like all these characters. I do think one of the things with the show is they talk a big game about all the stuff that's going on with Miss Asahina being a time traveler, and Koizumi being an Esper, and Yuki Nagato being an alien computer interface. And we get to see a lot of Yuki being a computer, because her monotone just bleeds through every episode she talks in, every time she interacts with computers. Miss Asahina, we see her being a time traveler, in that we've literally seen her travel in time. We've literally, she makes all these references and stuff to, future events that she has to classify information out. So, we see all that. We don't get to see Koizumi's Esper powers enough. But I also
saw it once.
Yeah, but I can also see the show saying, we don't want to be an action show. We don't want the focus to be the powers. So I understand that to an extent.
But
it's
at
disappointing.
Least show off little bits of
yeah.
things. We didn't really get that.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I will agree. It's a bit disappointing.
Show us, some of your tricks that you use to get through everyday life without anybody noticing.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
The other thing I don't like as much is that I felt like at the beginning, Koizumi has been much more, not reserved in how he responds to Miss Suzumiya, but he's been much more, he wants to maintain the status quo, but he doesn't necessarily want to just go with whatever she says. In the later episodes,
felt like he did.
Yeah, but in later episodes, that happens. In later episodes during the movie making and after, it started being much more I'm just going to go along with whatever she says.
We haven't watched The Disappearance yet. We're talking about the movie that they made in the anime.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
So, just to be clear, we're talking about the show, not the Disappearance of Haruhi Suzumiya, but the movie about Miss Asahina. But yeah, up until that movie and Endless 8, it never really came off how much he just wants to go along with whatever she says, no matter the cost.
Yeah, he only has lines when he's told to have lines, honestly.
Yeah, and it feels very restrictive to his character to an extent. I think one of the things that I would have liked to see from Kyoto Animations in the show is I'd like to see more of a dynamic between all the characters, in the sense that, as we found out, there are different factions. Basically, the time travelers are a faction, and the alien faction that Nagato is part of is a faction, but they also have other factions, as we've seen, because the one girl who was the head of class who fought Yuki is part of a different faction within the alien computer interface faction, where they're like, yes, we want to force her to understand and change. And then with Koizumi, there's like hundreds of factions that are all fighting each other, and we never see any of that. I really wish that some of that would have been shown more.
Especially in the final episode.
Yeah. And again, it's weird to call this the final episode, because again, technically the final episode, chronologically, is this episode, but the final episode recorded was like the last episode of the movie, I think. So it's like, there's ups and downs to watching it either way. Like, for example, finding out that the movie, where we actually watched the movie, that was episode 1. The first episode ever made was that one. Just imagine watching it, because, like, it was really funny seeing when they started making the movie, where she had director, and then she had super director, and then in the movie, when they're watching it, at the end it shows her having ultra director. I can't imagine watching that episode first, seeing ultra director first,
Yeah,
and then coming back later in season 2, halfway through season 2, and then seeing director and then super director. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
No.
But then you get this stuff where the last episode feels a bit off because it's just kind of anticlimactic. But again, it's a slice of life show. It's not really meant to be an action show. But I'm kind of disappointed at it, not for the action. I'm more disappointed at it for there wasn't really that much romance stuff in it.
No, there wasn't.
It creates this weird situation where the show has a lot of great ideas, but it doesn't have the greatest focus, which probably kind of makes sense given that Haruhi has a lot of different ideas and not much focus.
I get that, but it's just like, you're clearly setting this up for them to be together, and then there's no payoff by the end of the series.
Not even that, it's punishing him actively if he goes with anyone but her.
Yeah, like,
so
you can tell by Haruhi's reactions, like, she likes him.
She gets so upset anytime he interacts with any other girls. So, in terms of the action parts of the show, that feels kind of disappointing because I didn't feel that there was enough of it. The romance sections didn't feel like there was enough of it. But the actual slice of life stuff, and just seeing all the characters bounce off each other, yeah, those sections were very good.
Yes. I think that's what they did best.
Yeah, exactly. And that was the focus of the show, was that. That's what they wanted the show to be about. So, for the thing they were intending to do, they did it very well. But I think that
I think we
other
could have
sections,
seen some other elements as well.
Yeah. I'm very interested in seeing the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, because I think that show is actually going to be a straight slice of life, and that's it.
We'll see.
So, I'm interested in seeing if that show gets rid of all the other elements and just focuses on only that bit, and if that's better or worse. So, that's the main opinion of the show, is overall, very good show.
It just could have done more.
Yeah, there's sections where it was a bit disappointing. There's sections where it could have done more. But what it was trying to do, it was good at. Very good at. Now, the problem is, I can't just talk about the show generally, because this is the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, and there is one black spot on this fucking show, which is the Endless 8 arc, which is endlessly frustrating. So, first question I have to ask myself when looking at this arc was this an enjoyable arc? Did I enjoy watching Endless 8? And it's like, no. The rest of the show, I enjoyed every episode, even the ones that were confusing how they ended. Even the ones that were a bit disappointing how they ended.
Disappointing, I can take.
Those were still good episodes.
Endless 8 was just agonizing.
Yeah, like Haruhi Suzumiya, I think is only the third show Kyoto Animation ever made. And it feels like an older show. It feels like a show.
It feels and looks like one.
Yeah, like the art style actually isn't even that bad. Like,
No,
this looks like something that might have been made in it was made in 2006, but like
I'm
it
saying
doesn't
like
feel
early
that out.
2010.
Yeah, it's like you could see that in early 2010 and still be fine. Like it doesn't look outdated, but it definitely feels rougher. It's an older Kyoto Animation show. A still good show, but it had rough spots. And then it had this rough spot. Endless 8 is just not fun to watch because, again, this is a Groundhog Day arc. The idea is you start at the beginning and you go through the events and you start over and do it again over and over until you get out of it.
But there was very little differences. We just hear about the differences.
Yeah.
And we never see it.
Yeah.
Never.
So you create... Yeah, so it's just an objectively bad arc.
Like, the only things we see is maybe they have a couple different dialogues here and there, and they may have a couple different positions or different clothing, but that's all we see.
Yeah.
We never see them not go to a festival. We never not see them go to, goldfish scooping. We never see them say, fuck that, or anything like that.
Exactly.
We just hear it talked about. I'm like, no, I want to see that.
Yeah. So, with this section, I'm gonna actually do something we have not done in the review process. I'm going to go into a very full breakdown analysis of this damn arc, because I feel like this arc needs it. So, the question I have, after asking was this an enjoyable arc, the question is, did this arc even fulfill the goal it set out to do? And that's a very hard question to answer, because the first part of that is, what was this arc trying to do at all? What was the point of Endless 8?
To enjoy your summer.
Yeah, I wrote down two options that I can think of what this arc was trying to do. The first one is what I'm certain the authors were actually trying to do. The whole goal of this arc was it was all about Haruhi. The whole point was figuring out why was Haruhi unsatisfied. That was what they wrote it for. The whole goal was Haruhi went through summer, she was unsatisfied, and they kept doing it until she was satisfied. The second option, which is the one that I think would have been a better arc and makes sense based on what we watched, was it's a Groundhog Day story. The whole point was they needed to do one certain thing. They need to figure out what they needed to do in order to get out of this infinite time loop.
It wasn't really a payoff at all. It's like, let's do homework. I'm like...
Yeah, so I'm going to look at this two things at a time. First one, let's assume this arc was all about Haruhi. Let's assume that the point of the arc was Haruhi was unsatisfied, and we need to figure out why she's unsatisfied. If that is true, how did this arc happen? How did any of this happen in show?
It started with them wanting to do the last weeks of the summer together.
Yeah, so it starts out with Haruhi wanting to do the week together with the club. Perfectly normal. So let's assume we're starting out on the first loop. Time is not stopped yet. We're not in our infinite loop. They come to this event for the first time. Why did this loop happen? They go through this week. Haruhi's unsatisfied. So we have two reasons that this could have happened, that this loop could have happened at all. The first one is that Haruhi saw all the clubmates fail to do their homework. So we go through the first loop. School happens. None of them did their homework. She sees that happen, and she wishes that event didn't happen. And that's what causes the loop, is her seeing all the clubmates failing to do their homework and wanting them to succeed. That's what the whole arc's about. In which case, this show's writing fucking fails at that. Because, one, we don't get to see that route. We never get to see the inciting incident that caused her to want time to loop. Because, as the show admits, she caused this. She wanted something, and then the show looped.
Yeah, and I don't see Haruhi looking at it that way. Like, Haruhi seeing their clubmates fail, sure, whatever. But I think
could have happened. But
what could have happened if we did go down that route, they failed.
Yeah.
They didn't get any club time.
Yeah.
So that made her wish.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the only way that makes sense.
But either way, it fails because we never get to see that event.
And
we,
plus,
as the audience, never get to see why this is happening.
Plus, I don't know if it is that way, because how Haruhi reacts to Kyon saying, I want to do homework.
Yeah.
her reaction is just like pissed.
Yeah,
off.
but at the same time, she doesn't remember the previous events.
No.
So her reaction could be that way. But again, the other reason this would fail is, even if we're assuming this, if we're assuming there was an inciting incident where she saw them fail, then that means Nagato saw that happen too. And that means the show fails on its writing a second time because Nagato doesn't say anything. She never gives any examples of how they could get out of it. That means she knows why they're there and suffers through it 500, 600 years of loops because she won't give any fucking hints.
No, I think it's this. Kyon was just so stupid to not ask the specifics. It's like, okay, like the first question that you should ask, how the hell did this start and why?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
And that is never asked.
Never.
And Kyon is the only person that Nagato could actually spill the whole beans to.
So
that never happens, and that could have connected the two characters a little bit.
Would have been
great.
Been
nice.
So
and it's just like, no, that didn't happen.
Nope. So therefore, my assumption is that's not what happened. It doesn't make any sense if that's what happened. So let's assume the opposite. Let's say she did not see any fail state happen. She actually just was unsatisfied about something.
And she
just wanted Summer to keep going until she was satisfied. In which case, then we have two options here. Either one, she was unsatisfied about the homework, specifically, because that's the answer the show gives us. It's about the homework. In which case, then why the fuck did she not seem to give any shits or have any knowledge about the homework? If that's the solution the show is giving us, that homework is the answer, then
that's stupid,
that doesn't make
and that
any
was
sense.
only once.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
in every
fucking
episode
sense.
they talk about once.
Yes, so that doesn't make any sense. The other option is it has nothing to do with the homework. So
and she just wants to
hang out on that day. In which case, then it's a failure because they didn't fucking try to hang out ever on that day. If that's the whole thing, if she's just pissed off they didn't hang out on the last day, then why the fuck did no one in 600 years suggest they just hang out that day?
Like, Nagato, sure, gets a pass. I could give her a pass.
She's sworn to secrecy. She's not allowed to speak. But no one else hey, she's pissed off. She's unsatisfied. Let's just do something. Let's just hang out at my house. Anything. Let's try anything.
Yeah, they didn't have an answer.
They never tried anything.
How? There are 5 people in this fucking room and
one of them is a fucking galactic supercomputer genius. And no one can fucking figure this out? So, if this is all about Haruhi, if that's the goal, which I think it is, then this show's writing fails absolutely. It's just fucking terrible.
It's probably one of the most agonizing time loop stories I've ever had to sit through.
So, now, the other option is that this is a Groundhog Day arc. So I am certain the authors were not trying to actually write a new Groundhog Day. I don't think that movie had even came out yet. But
from my
I'm not sure.
Little knowledge of Groundhog Day, they at least did something different with every single loop.
Yes, and that's the point here. If we're looking at this as a Groundhog Day arc, it still fails. So the first thing we have to analyze is what makes a good Groundhog Day arc.
You try to figure out the goddamn loop.
So, first thing, before that, is that you have a compelling reason for the time loop. So there is a time loop that exists, and you have a compelling reason for it. And the show has that. Haruhi's pissed off about something. They need to figure out why Haruhi is pissed off. So, there is a compelling reason that there should be a time loop here. Got it. Second thing, the characters need to try to change things. They need to do something in the show each time to try to get out of the time loop. So, the core thing you need here is you must have different routes. And this absolutely fails. Even though there are technically,
will have to deal with
even though technically there are 600 years of different routes, we don't see them.
We don't see them. Nagato says we do something different, and we don't see them.
But we never see them experimenting with it. They just always seem dejected and sad, and they never do anything to try to escape the time loop. They just wait to the last day and hope maybe we'll get out of it then. And I get that this is a metaphor for homework. It's a metaphor for procrastination. They're putting off their problems, and that's the problem. That's
So
the actual
too
problem.
much procrastinating.
Yeah,
like
it's
holy
but it's
shit.
just like
600 years making Nagato suffer. I'm just like,
yeah, it's like I get that this is a metaphor for procrastination. I'm not stupid, but it's just like your story is terrible then. So, the third thing is you show the critical change. Like, you need to show what specific thing caused the time loop to be ended, which leads to a satisfying ending. So that means you have to both show what happens to end the time loop and show the satisfying ending. And the show fails at this too, because the show has an answer. They just needed to do homework together. Except the ending is not satisfying. It doesn't feel like the characters came to the decision, they never seem to have figured out on their own why Haruhi was upset and dissatisfied. The show writers just gave up. They just gave an answer. Oh, hang out and do homework. And then the characters repeated that answer. It doesn't feel like the characters came up with it. It feels like the writers got bored, and so they just stopped writing the series. The second failure is, if the answer to this arc was they needed to do their homework, then the critical failure was we do not get to see them doing their homework. You cannot end
10 frames.
You cannot end a Groundhog Day style arc without showing the fucking change. All we know is, oh, she gets pissed off and says, I'm hanging out too. But then we don't get to see them hang out.
We do.
We
for a
see
couple
frames,
scenes.
but we don't
Right.
get to see that day.
We don't see
that day was the critical day. Them hanging out that day was the only thing they needed to do. The most important thing. And we see frames of it. We don't get to hear them talk. We don't see any conversation.
No,
We surely don't see any character development.
It's just narration.
There's narration over 2 frames of the fucking thing, basically, and then we're at school the next day. And that's it. We don't even get the tense moment where we get to see, did the change actually matter? And then he wakes up the next day. It just skips right to them being in the club room the next day. So it just absolutely fails no matter how you read this. It's a metaphor for procrastination. The whole point is they keep procrastinating over and over again, and they need to realize they need to stop procrastinating. I get that. But they never try anything to get out of this time loop. They just keep doing the same events over and over again. And all of this is caused by the fact that, again, only Nagato is allowed to know this shit. And she won't share any of it because she's not allowed to interfere. But it's not interfering to say, hey, maybe you guys should try to figure out why this time loop's happening and try some new things.
Or at least Kyon asking her, hey, do you have any idea of how we can get out of this? Or something, just conversate with Nagato because she's been doing it for 600 years.
If Nagato knows all this is happening, then Kyon's one motivation should be to hang out with Nagato more and try to figure it out. You do it as a detective story. They don't do that either.
I thought he was going to go off with her at one point.
Yeah.
And have, like, serious conversations with her. They never do that. He
So-
stops her in a couple different places once, and that's it.
Yeah. So, that said, this arc is terrible. It is the worst arc in, I think, any show I've seen. It's just a badly written arc. I've said many times that I do not like SAO and how it's written. Like, to be clear, I enjoy the SAO as a kid. I want it to be a good show. I don't hate it out of malice. I hate it because it's so badly written that it frustrates me. Because there's so clearly a good show in there, and it's fucked. Because the writer doesn't know how to write it well. It's the same problem I have with Steven Universe. It's a great show concept, and I love it. But the show is not written by somebody who understands how to fucking write it. So,
yeah, and I wanted to enjoy SAO as well.
Yeah.
I think I'll enjoy it more when we get to the sniper.
maybe. But all that to say, those shows, in terms of Magical Senpai, for example, Magical Senpai was a show that we rated 5 out of 10. That show is just meh. It's just averagely written. Sword Art Online is a show that has major problems that cause it to lose points, but it's overall a good show if you ignore those points. This arc specifically, though, is just a badly written arc. Every bit of it is a bad idea. You need to so fundamentally change this arc to make it a good arc that you would have to rewrite characters in order to make this arc work.
It seemed like what they were hinting at was they had a couple episodes where they were hinting at a plane. I'm like,
yeah, and that has nothing to do with it.
No!
What did any of that have to... Oh, it's a paper plane. It's paper. Homework. Fucking what?
I thought they were hinting at, they wanna go on a trip or something like that.
Something. Nope.
No!
So, final bit of my section. How I'm rating this show. I don't think it is fair to rate this show as a 2 out of 10, for example, because of Endless 8.
No.
The vast majority of the show is great. And Endless 8, if it was 3 episodes long, would have been okay. It would have been a pretty poor arc, but it still would have been a better arc than it is now. So, because of that, I'm going to give 3 scores here. So I'm going to rate the show without Endless 8. I'm then going to rate Endless 8 on its own, and then I'm going to come up with my final score based on how bad Endless 8 is and trying to kind of average the original 2 scores together somehow.
And I have figured out how I'm going to rate it.
Yeah, so, but we are still going to, I think both of us are going to agree here. We're still going to end with one final score that's going to give the culmination of both non-Endless 8 and Endless 8 as one score. We might analyze it differently. We might factor things in differently, but at the end of the day, we will have one score. So, in terms of this show without Endless 8, I don't really have any huge problems with the show that I can weigh against it. There are some things that are disappointing about it. There's things that are sad. There's things that I wish they did better. But there's nothing so bad that I feel like we need to take points off for this.
I think if you want to take points from anything, it'd probably be where the episodes just ended very abruptly and didn't really have an end.
The pacing in certain arcs was weird.
Failed to end episodes correctly.
Yeah, they had some weird pacing problems.
And I understand it's just supposed to be one big arc, like
it's basically a 3-hour movie that was chopped into 3 episodes.
Exactly,
or
but it's just like you should still
weird.
have an ending satisfactory. Like, come on.
Yeah, the ending of some of the episodes was not that satisfactory. There's some character problems in certain places. There's some, general episode pacing problems in certain places. It's not the greatest show. But the characters on their own, so good of characters. So,
and they work best off each other.
As normal, when I struggle to think of exactly where to put a show, I look to my previous ratings, and I feel out where I want it to go. So, I think, looking at it, where I'd say this show should go. On its own, without looking at Endless 8, just the rest of the show combined, probably around 8 out of 10. It's a good show. It has problems. And again, I know that this is technically Season 1 and Season 2, but I could imagine a world where Kyoto Animation took this show, they made a new series afterwards that fixed a lot of these problems. But as a whole, it is a good show. It's worth your time to watch, but there are going to be things that are going to be a bit hard to watch.
Yeah.
In terms of Endless 8 specifically,
throw it out.
It is bad. It is very, very bad. It is, if I look at this, let me answer some simple questions first. Would I watch SAO over Endless 8 specifically? Yes. Would I watch Magical Senpai over Endless 8 specifically? Yes.
Yes.
It is unlike those shows, which are having competence at their core. This show is bad. It is just badly written. This section of the show is the worst thing Kyoto Animation has probably ever made. Now, I'm sure there might be some other shows that are bad. This is just terribly bad. I've tried to think of a good score for this for a while now, and the number that I initially settled on is, I think, the score I'm going to go with. Because I just we don't have a lot of ratings at the bottom. So I don't really have a good measure for this. But the measure I want to give is a 2 out of 10 for specifically Endless 8. It is so badly written. The amount of work you would have to do to make this a good arc is so great that it is better for you to cut the arc out and never watch it. It is a cancerous plague on this show.
Yeah.
And I get...
And it freaking takes off points.
Yeah, it makes...
It exists.
Yeah, that's the problem, is looking at the show on its whole, as a whole. It's like, I'm saying it's 8 out of 10, it's worth watching. But just don't watch Endless 8 at all. Just cut all 8 episodes, throw them out. And remember, this is season 2.
Yeah,
Each
imagine watching it when it was first coming out, and we are so sorry for those who had to do that.
I'm sorry for us, and we watched it in half the time as everyone else, and we still found it agonizing. I can't imagine watching 8 episodes in a row every week.
So we humbly apologize.
Yes, I apologize on Kyoto Animation's behalf. Like, this stains their reputation.
Absolutely.
But the show is not a 2 out of 10 on it as a whole.
No.
So, I now have to come to a question of where would I rate this, knowing that I'm saying the main show is 8 out of 10, and this arc, which again is 8 episodes, it is more than half of season 2. Each season was 14 episodes. So, more than half of season 2 is not worth watching. That's insane. So, where do I think this show lies with both combined? I'm not gonna like the answer I'm gonna give here. And the answer I'm gonna give here is to say that it's a 6 out of 10 as a whole. I don't want to give it that little, but I also don't think it's fair not to. The answer I want to give is, I want to give this a 7 out of 10. But I think it would be a good 7 out of 10 if Endless 8 was a 5 as a score. If it was just okay and the rest of the show was excellent, then it'd be 7 out of 10. But the problem is, I'm saying it's a 2. It is that bad. It is worth cutting out and just not watching these episodes. Any of them. Not even the first one. Don't watch the last one. Cut all of them out. Watch none of them.
But because we're rating it as a whole, you're deducting 2 points for Endless 8.
Yeah, I'm not actually deducting the score. I want to be clear. I'm not saying, oh, it's a 2, I'm deducting 2. But yeah, I'm saying it is so bad that I don't feel just taking 1 off for it is a sufficient reduction in score. So, yeah, I'm saying that it is a 6 out of 10 show, which I do recognize means that I'm saying that this is a worse show than the first season of We Never Learn and Fist of the North Star, which I want to be clear is not representative of the whole show. If you don't watch any of Endless 8, I think this is a better show than Fist of the North Star. It is a better show than the first season of We Never Learn. It's a good show. But you have to cut out more than half of season 2 to do that. And that's terrible. So, I'm going to say it's a 6 out of 10. Yeah. This is a weird...
breaking his heart doing
It is, because the characters are so good. And it's overall a good show. But it's also... The other thing is that it's weird. I'm still feeling the effects of being the first person to talk about this. Because one of the things I like to do as the second person talking is I can hear what you're going to say. And think about, oh, does that affect where I think the show should be? I don't get that in this case. I have to give the first opinions and give the standard by which the show must be judged. And setting it this low as the first statement is like, ugh. So, yeah, 6 out of 10, regretfully.
So now it's me, down to me.
Yeah, this never
happens.
happens.
Down to what I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so as the entirety of the show, despite Endless 8, I greatly enjoyed it, especially with the characters bouncing off of each other. When the characters are in the same room as other characters, that is when the show is at its prime.
Yeah, exactly. When it's being just a slice of life. When it's not focusing as much on the wacky shit that Haruhi's doing. I mean, even when it does focus on that. It's a great show when they bounce off each other.
So
the movie arc was great. Because we got to see Kyon.
The making of that
We got to see not only the making of that movie, but we got to see the point where she broke Kyon down so much that he actually bout punched her. You got to see the reaction where she got to the point where she had to see him be like, no, you are doing something so dangerous that you must be stopped now.
A very heavy scene.
Yeah.
And it's probably one of the most impactful scenes you could see.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I love all the characters except Koizumi, and here's why.
Mm-hmm.
So, I do not, ungodly hate him. He is not the worst character I've ever seen. However, I just find him boring.
He's very dry and dull.
He's very dull and dry. And honestly, I think it could improve upon his character if we actually saw a little bit more of the outside world. But Keon's like, no, fuck that.
Yeah, the one weird thing
And
about
I
the show.
understand that, but
Yeah.
I'm just like, at the same time, if you did that, you might improve upon some characters.
Yeah, the weird thing about this show is it's the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya, but Kyon, the straight-faced normal human being, is the main character. So you get this weird situation where he's a normal person, hearing about and sometimes seeing all the weird stuff around him, but
he doesn't want to face it.
Yeah, because he's a normal person, he's just like, I know this is happening, but nope, I have to be the thing that grounds people. So I feel like, yeah, it kind of does a disservice to the show that he is the main character at times.
So I want to make clear I am not deducting the show because of, not going off and seeing these cool events.
Yeah, but it does affect your view of it.
It does affect my view. It kind of gets me disappointed, and I'm like, just show us little, like, tips and tricks on, like, the other beings and how they look at reality and how they deal with things in that reality.
Yeah, maybe it would have been great to cut back on In the Shade a little bit. Make it 4 episodes and add an episode or 2 just focused on Koizumi. It's all about him and his things.
Views. Like, show us different perspectives of the characters in Endless Eight, and maybe actually that could have been better for Endless Eight, seeing other characters' perspectives
would have been better,
and
in
not just Kyon.
But yeah,
would have been great.
Just an episode where it's focused on Koizumi. He's the main character, and he goes off and does work.
Cool shit.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, I'm not deducting the show on Koizumi at all. I just think they could have done more with him.
Yeah.
And that's why he's honestly the least interesting character that I don't care about.
It's weird how Kyon is not the least interesting character, even though he's a normal human.
He's actually one of the better characters, like...
Because he's just so straight-laced that he's just like, no, you need to stop doing this stupid weird shit.
Like, I almost want to say Kyon almost speaks for the audiences at times.
Oh, he does. He is the audience.
That's why he's so good.
Yeah.
So, otherwise, I love all the other characters. The best character to me is Nagato. She is the best character in the entire franchise because she is the most interesting. And I can't get that scene out of my head. It's like, please let me beat them. I'm like, let her do it.
The pleading, demanding eyes of Nagato.
Like, she is one of the best pleading characters I've ever seen, and she wasn't even pleading. That's the most interesting thing about that scene.
To be fair,
she was not pleading.
She doesn't have
enough emotion.
She can't plead.
But that is the only time you could ever feel any emotion from Nagato, and that's why I loved it.
Yeah, it was really good seeing... This arc was all about Nagato, technically. Well, okay, technically this last episode was season 1, and the Endless Eight was season 2. But, like, yeah, seeing these episodes at the end where it's focused on Nagato's perspective, in a sense, was great. And I wish they would have done more with that.
Yeah. So...
Also, hold on. Just thinking about it, I'm actually kind of pissed off now. These last 2 episodes were in season 1, where they said, you can go off and hang out with the computer club. And we didn't get to see any episodes in season 2 where she hangs out with the fucking computer club. Because it's all mixed into the original.
Nope.
Why didn't they add a new ending episode? Instead of ending with this episode, why didn't they have a new ending episode where she actually did that or some shit?
So, guys, before we continue, I want to let you know how I rate things. So, at the start of every anime, how I rate things is we start out 10 out of 10 and then start deducting points off. So right now I'm just talking through it, seeing what I hate and what I want to deduct points off of. With Haruhi, it was really hard to do that. My initial thought, because of Endless Eight, was I wanted to take a point off for every episode. 1 point off, and it would make it 2 out of 10.
But you can't
just like, no,
say
I can't
that's
do
right.
That.
Like, it's so bad, but it's like, they're the same episode. But you can't say it's 1 point either, even though they're the same episode. It's like, it's 8 of the episodes.
So, here's how I'm going to do it. So, since I cannot just deduct 8 points off of 10, because this anime does not deserve that, I am going to count Endless Eight as one big thing. 1. So I'm deducting 1 point off of it for having Endless 8. Absolutely god-awful, shouldn't exist. So 1 point off because of Endless 8. So now we're at 9 out of 10. So, let's see, going through the anime, I loved pretty much everything. I absolutely hated the episodes where they just ended abruptly.
Yeah,
Hated
including
that.
this episode.
Yeah, guys, out of all the anime I've watched, this one is the one where there's no satisfactory ending for any of the episodes.
Yeah, I mean, because think back to a previous show. We watched JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. That had a lot of abrupt endings, but they did be continued, which is the most iconic fucking ending bit.
They actually made it good, though.
Yeah.
They made it good. They wanted you to see what was coming next.
Yeah, you end with somebody's fist 2 inches from your face. It's like, it's so good.
Yeah, like Rocky did that.
Yeah, so good.
So, with Haruhi, they just stop abruptly.
Yeah.
It is instant. There's no payoff. You know what's going to happen next, but it's just like, they didn't make it good. They did not make their ending good.
Yeah.
So I'm deducting 1 point off for that. I
Yeah.
absolutely ungodly hated them just ending it abruptly with no payoff or really. There wasn't any hype to the ending of the episodes. That's why I hated it. There's just like, you're not hyping anything.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a sad. There's no satisfactory ending in quite a few episodes.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
Now, let's talk about the final episode of Haruhi Suzumiya before the movie. We have not watched the movie once again. I don't even know when the movie takes place. I'm assuming it takes place immediately after.
It takes place after. It is the culmination of the whole show.
So, say we didn't get the movie and the anime just ends there. It is the most unsatisfactory ending I have ever seen in any anime.
Yeah, there's no romantic ending.
So much time to play with things in that last episode, and they didn't do it.
They had 6
3
minutes.
or 4 scenes where it's just them in the club, and they took like 10 minutes out of the episode. They're just like, we have nothing, so let's just throw in a scene.
Yeah, it's like, come on, guys, you had nothing. There was nothing else you could have done.
And me, like you, when I'm watching a slice of life, I'm hoping for some kind of romance ending or something like that, which I thought they were about to do. I thought they were going to walk home in the rain together and they're going to have some kind of fun together or something to make a satisfactory ending. They didn't do that. They did not do that. Like, we see some childish nature that she claims she doesn't have. Like, she's messing around with Kyon. That is cute. I do like her doing the thing where, take the finger under the eye and stick out your tongue. That's cute. But I'm just like, at the same time, that's how it ends? That's how it ends, with Haruhi sticking her tongue out at the viewer. Sure. But I'm just like, you wasted so much time in your final episode where you could have had something in there that was interesting. Like, guys, I do like watching Nagato, but watching her read for about 5-10 minutes,
it's just like, what?
And she's not saying anything.
It's good for about 20 seconds.
It's good for 20 seconds. And
it was 4+ minutes.
I thought they were going to do something with the laughing girl. I thought she was going to be like a hidden protagonist or something.
Yep.
Nah, she is just that crazy. So, I mean, I do like her too. She is also one of the best characters in the show. But no. You failed to end your anime to me.
Yeah.
So, I'm deducting a point off of that. I originally wanted to give this an 8 out of 10. Yeah. But after seeing that final episode is what ruined it for me.
Yeah. So
you are deducted yet another point. You are a 7 out of 10 show to me. So, all in all, what do I really truly think about the entire anime of Haruhi? If you cut out Endless 8, it is one of the best anime I've ever seen.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Even cutting out Endless 8, it's still not a 10 out of 10 show. That's the thing. To me, yeah, it's a great show.
if you cut out like their bullshit, all their bullshit, it
Yeah.
is a 10 out of 10 show.
Yeah, it's like if you cut out Endless 8, that the audience can do that. Just don't watch Endless 8. It's an 8 out of 10 show. I think both of us are saying it's an 8 out of 10 show, because I'm taking 2 points off where you're taking 1. So our opinion of this show is pretty set of like, it's a good show. It's an 8 out of 10 show. If you just cut out Endless 8, just don't watch any of Endless 8.
Yeah.
It's worthwhile, but Endless 8 sucks so badly, and then you have all these problems with the show just having terrible ending times.
Yeah, I so wanted to give it a 9 or 8 out of 10.
You know
Really badly.
a better ending episode for this entire show? The best episode they could have ended on would have been the end of, I believe, the movie making episode. Was that the episode where they were in the cafe and he gave descriptions of, she's the alien, she's the time traveler, and he's the Esper. Was that the end of that episode before the movie? Or was that after the movie?
That was after the movie.
Okay, so that would have been episode 26. So 2 episodes ago. The end of that episode would have been a better ending for this show than the end of this episode.
I mean, and move up the day where Nagata was having fun against the computer club. Like, that is a worthwhile
that day didn't need
episode.
to... Well, okay, that day does have to technically happen after the Culture Festival, because that day was... But, like, I think that could have happened before the previous episode.
Yeah, it could have happened way before.
Like
there was nothing really...
Someday in the Rain doesn't even have to happen at all in when it did. That could have happened, like, 20 episodes ago, for all we fucking know. It could have happened at any point.
So,
like, this episode did not need to be the end of the show. This episode should have been moved up.
Yeah.
Move the Day of Sagittarius up 1, and end with Live Alive. I think it's the episode that had him ending in the cafe with her. End with that bit. End in the cafe where he's describing that Miss Asahina is the time traveler, and Yuki is the alien, and Koizumi is the Esper. That is a good ending for the show. There wouldn't be a lot to it, but it at least felt like it was an ending, where he goes to her and tells her all about this, and she doesn't believe him. At least that would have been a satisfactory ending.
Love the characters. Love most of the show. Without Endless 8, it would have been a solid 8, 9 out of 10 show to me.
Yeah, it is really just such a bad arc. So there's this thing in anime that's known as Indigo Prophecy Syndrome. It happens when a show starts out in a genre and then randomly adds in, like, aliens, or randomly adds in time travel. And the last bit of the show is a completely different fucking show to all the rest of the show. And it spoils the entire show, because it just goes off the walls and fucking forgets all the shit it was doing beforehand. That's what Endless 8 feels like in the show. It feels like an Indigo Prophecy moment, where it's just like, fuck all the shit the rest of the show's doing. We're just gonna be a bad series that's just god-awful to watch. And it is a shame, because the rest of the show is so much fun to watch. And that arc is agonizing to such a bad degree. So, yeah, guys, that's gonna be it for this show.
Really hard review.
Yeah, it really is. It is
really hard to rate.
Yeah. So, will we come back and watch the movie next time? I don't know. We'll figure it out for next week. So, we either will or we won't. Until then, we will see you all on the next Saturday Sunday Hit Anime.
Goodbye.